Hey, welcome back to the Healthy Living Scottsdale podcast. I'm your host, Coach Zach. I'm here with Zach, ZK, and sweet as candy, Miss Brandy Mead. What's going on, guys?
It's going
Not
good.
much.
What's up?
What's up? What's up? Zach and Zach hour. Zach and Zach hour. We're ready to go. Yeah. All right. Let's get down to business today. I think we got a really good topic for you. We're talking about what are we talking about?
Fitness equality.
Fitness equality. I guess the misconceptions of how boys or men should train versus how women should train. So we got some really good stuff for you on that today. But first, let's talk about our client of the week. Client of the week today is Summer Morenz. She is awesome. Actually, I think Mike and Summer have been clients of the week before. Mike's her husband, but she has been going through a lot of stuff. She had like surgery, nasal surgery, has been dealing with migraines, like all kinds of crazy stuff. And her attitude is just amazing.
As always.
All the time.
Always.
And even when she's like struggling, she comes to the gym because she's like, I know I have to work out and it's going to make me feel better. Sometimes it doesn't, but she still has that attitude, which is amazing to hear because most people, I feel like a lot of people just look for excuses, like any type of excuse not to work out, right? Like, oh, I broke a nail. I can't go to the gym.
Right.
Yep.
And she's, Zach skips workouts when he breaks nails sometimes, but
It's true.
but she has legitimate reasons and still like is getting after it, and staying on track. And so there's something to be said for that, because those are the people that I have found throughout my experience are the most successful, like long term, right? So some shout out to Summertime.
Yeah, she's great. And she's one of those people that if you're working out near her, she's so motivational. Like she's got this great attitude for her own workout, but then she inspires other people as well.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. So her, Mike, and then they have 3 sons who have also been in the gym, and her one son, Judah, is super dedicated, and he's awesome. So for a 16-year-old kid, it's impressive. So they're definitely, for all you parents out there, it matters. Like your example matters when it comes to leading a healthy lifestyle, like being a leader of a healthy lifestyle, because there's always somebody that you're influencing, right? So, and it comes out in their children, which is cool. So, all right, let's talk about gender equal training. So, Brandy, I think like you kind of led this topic. We were talking about it. We were having a conversation in the office. We had a different subject planned for today, and it was just flowing, like our conversation. We're like, okay, we got to do a podcast on this, and you were kind of the leader of that. So I think like share your thoughts on the differences and how it's thought of that men train versus how women train.
Right. I think it's around the perception that, if you're talking about women versus men, women should be skinny, men should be strong. So these are our ideas or perceptions that I think society has on males versus females and fitness. And, you hear that, women should be lifting or actually doing cardio. That's what I hear the most. Women, should be doing cardio, should not even be lifting. If they are in the gym, then go light on weights. You think of like the little pink dumbbells that women should be lifting, if they're even lifting weights at all, because the way that, kind of some of the messaging that women may be hearing as they grow up is that, they should be skinny, should be doing cardio, and are not even taught how to properly lift weights or how to move their body in a way that's more strength focused versus cardio. Whereas men are Oftentimes starting in middle school when you break PE classes up and boys are sent to weight training class and women go play tennis. So kind of those perceptions about males versus females. And I think things are changing in a good way, but I think there's still a long way to go around how we're bringing up our children. And, you talked about what influence parents can have on children. I think it's parents, I think it's educators, people in general, just how we talk about what it is to be fit and how it can be the same for men and women. There are many, many benefits for women who strength train. And I think we're making some good progress in that way, but there's still a long ways to go.
I think the upbringing thing is really like the most interesting to me, because it's almost like the fear of lifting weights is bred into us. Like it's created at such an early age. And you even think of like push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups. Like when I remember when I was like a little kid, it was like, or even like I coach Little League, and it's like my boys, like I have them doing push-ups all the time. If they're not listening, I'm like, on the ground, let's go, and it's like, you don't do that with girls. Right. And I remember when I was in high school, we were in the weight training room. We had our weight training room. And one day our baseball coach was like, hey, we're going to go to the women's weight training room. And I'm like, what? I didn't even know this existed on campus. And so he just wanted to do it as like just something different. Right. So we go across the gymnasium and we walk through a couple doors, and all of a sudden we walk into a room filled with fixed plane machines. And it's like there's carpet on the floor. Mm-hmm. And all the machines are white, and they have like this nice like mint green like upholstery on them, and it smells nice in there, and there's no dumbbells.
Right.
There's not a single dumbbell in that room. It's just all machines. And like the weight training room is like barbells and platform. I mean, it looks exactly like our gym does, like all the same equipment, right? Where we're doing box jumps and squats, and there's chains and like all kinds of stuff. And that was such a weird like experience for me. And it was like, that was the women's weight training room.
Right.
Was machines.
Yeah.
So there's this total, like, I guess just persona out there of like that's the wrong word, but like this image of how women should train versus how men should train. And it's wrong.
Right.
I'm sick of it because I'm just gonna tell the story about the stripper. I'm just gonna do it. So no, I'm just gonna do it. It's time. So we had a very brief client that was a stripper. It was a first for me. I've never had anybody come in and sign up that was a stripper. So young girl, and she did maybe 5 workouts, maybe. And was freaked out because she's like, you're trying to get me to lift weights, and I'm all bulky and swollen, and I need to like look slim for my job, basically. Zach, can you get bulky in 5 workouts?
You can't get anything in 5 workouts, so definitely not bulky.
A good attitude, maybe, like some confidence.
Right. Results wise, like physical wise, no, there's nothing that will happen to you after 5 workouts. So, like, you go back to like what Brandy said, is there's such this misconception in that this girl was so terrified of lifting more than 5 pounds that she was like, I can't train here because you guys are trying to get me to lift weights, and I'm getting basically huge.
Right.
Yep.
I wish it were that easy.
Yeah.
Dude, I'd be cool. So swole. I'd be like, ugh.
We would have no business. We'd have clients for a week and then they'd be gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But it's just like that mentality, right? So the women do the machines, they lift light, they do cardio, they do yoga
Yeah.
or Pilates or bar, right?
Right.
And leave the barbells and the dumbbells and the kettlebells and all that for the men.
Right.
I think social media is kind of playing a role in changing that philosophy, right? You guys agree? Like,
Yeah, to a certain extent, of course. So like if they're like, obviously it just depends on the people that you happen to follow on social media, but I think it's done a good job in the sense that you can learn from, if you follow somebody who's like a fitness person on Instagram, at one point or another, you're going to see them lifting weights, or if they look a certain way that you strive for, you'll see that they're lifting weights all the time. And if it's a good person who's like an educational person, they're actually giving you proper information, they'll tell you like, yeah, they look a certain way, they did not get that way without lifting weights and lifting weights that are heavy relative to them.
yeah.
Because that's the only way to produce like a certain type of body type. Because if you strictly stick to cardio or bands or any sort of like minimal equipment type things, there's no way to sufficiently create any sort of like adaptation as far as building muscle and losing fat and all that stuff. So it depends, of course, who you follow, but I think we're at least headed down the right path.
Yeah. Is this misconception of like how boys should train versus how girls should train any different than like the taking a model and having them hold up a product and be like, I look like this because I take whatever this supplement is? Like, is that really any different, that misconception? Like, you're just kind of creating this false idea in somebody's head of like, here's all you have to do to be fit. And I feel like that's the same thing that's been taught over the years and ingrained in people's minds of like, you know, well, men want to be swole, like you got to lift weights. And if women want to be thin, like you said, Brandy, like you need to do cardio.
Right. I think it's very similar to like advertisements for products like, you know, like you were saying. And I think we are making a lot of progress and have come a long way. There's certainly so many resources out there that are available to women that I think did not used to be out there. And there are educators and fitness leaders that women can look up to about, you know, what it looks like to be strong and how women can get strong and how good that is for our bodies. But then I think there's still, you know, some of those negative influences that are still out there and are still, you know, available through social media. And I think it's a lot of it has to do with the language that we use too, like whether we're, you know, raising our children. So there's a lot of parents that work out here that I think are great influences on their children. Their children can really look up to them about, you know, what it means to be fit and, you know, going to a gym and working out. But we need to be careful about the language that we use too. You know, you talked about push-ups earlier. So when people are doing push-ups, there's a regular push-up and then there's the girl push-up, right? So get down on your knee, you know, put your knees down and do the girl version of a push-up.
Yeah.
Great
Zach does those every day.
there's that. That's just one example of the language that's used. You know, women shouldn't sweat or don't get sweaty or it's going to ruin your hair.
We hear that.
Stuff like
don't
that.
ever tell us that when you come to a training session. I don't want to sweat.
Just heard that today.
You know, or this idea that women should not be strong and just skinny, and the idea of a beautiful woman is a skinny. You see a skinny image of a woman, and that's just that it. You know, strong is beautiful, and I think that there's so much is changing in that area, and you know, I'm excited to see where things are going, but I think there's still a lot more that needs to be done.
Yeah, and I think that we were talking about like. Start with Why, you know, that's a great book if you haven't read it. But start with why, right? Somebody, and we should probably just do a whole episode on this, but somebody reaches out and they go like, hey, you know, I want to know about how you guys train. Like what's your gym entail? What's a program? What's a membership? And it's like, for what? Like, why do you want to know? So, you know, everybody needs like this gimmick or not even necessarily a gimmick, but a system in place that convinces them that that system is going to get them to the result that they want. And so it happens all the time. People call in here constantly like, hey, I wanted some information on your memberships. Cool. What are you trying to accomplish? Why do you want the information? And it's like, it's always the same exact thing, right? Like, I want to tone up, I want to lose weight, which, we basically, it's like, yeah, everybody wants that. Okay. So if I told you right now, you come down here, you give me $5,000 and I'm going to wave a magic wand and you're going to be fit. Do you care what the wand looks like? No, you're like, awesome, cool. Here's my $5,000. Here's my credit card. Like, charge me the money. You don't care what the wand is. You're just like, I got the result, right? And so people they need that. Like, I need to know what the system is that's going to get me the result. And it's like, really, okay, I understand. Like, you want to be educated so that you can believe in it. But at the end of the day, all you really care about is getting the result. That's the why you're doing it. And so if we start with why, if you take a female and you ask them, okay, what do you want to accomplish? Or show me a picture in a magazine or on the internet, on social media, like, what do you want to look like? And they show you the picture. We should be able to go like, okay, guess what that person does, right? Mm-hmm. They got photoshopped. No, I'm just kidding. That person is probably a professional athlete.
Yeah.
Who trains hard for a living, right? And an Instagram model, fitness model, whatever, that's a professional athlete. Like, they're a bodybuilder, right? That could be called a sport.
Right.
They're an athlete and they're lifting weights to create that result. But the point that I'm trying to make is like, we have to go back to why. And it's amazing to me that we explain to our clients, like, okay, here's what you want to accomplish. We have the why. Now do everything we say to get there. And they're like, I think I need to be doing more cardio.
Right.
Why'd you even come in here then if you don't want to trust us, right? Like, no, that's not what you need. The person that you want to look like, guess what they do? They're in the gym lifting weights. They're weight training. They're using cable machines. Like, they're following a very strict diet, so it always, the system to get you there, like, that's just the thing that you need to know to rationalize of like, here's what I'm going to accomplish. And right now, the conception of that is I need to do cardio. I need to do yoga. I need to do Pilates.
Right.
And that's the wrong system. That's the wrong approach for what it is that you're actually trying to accomplish.
Right. And that could be because they've been told over the span of their lifetime that cardio makes you thin. Pilates builds lean, long muscles.
Long muscles.
Yeah.
Long muscles, Zach. You want to have long muscles. That's what you got to do.
I do think it all just comes down to where you get your information. So like, most people are misinformed with the wrong information because they trust things that aren't credible. So like, the most common thing nowadays, of course, is social media. And like, in the fitness realm, it's all through like Instagram. So like, naturally, people follow and believe the word of people who just have a lot of followers who most likely don't actually know
it's
what
the
they're
model with
talking
the
about.
product.
So like, you see they look a certain way, so you just naturally believe they must know what they're talking about. And like, they might, but the problem is obviously combined from what we spoke about earlier, where like, maybe from the very beginning, most females aren't taught like proper, like, fundamental movements and things like that anyway. So if you already don't have any knowledge, you don't know any better, and your only experience with lifting is through years of just seeing and being told the common things that we've kind of all heard growing up. And then the first thing that you really like get into the working out aspect is through somebody who doesn't actually guide you down the proper path, then it's going to be a like tough re-education to like convince you of, hey, the last 20 years, like everything that you thought you knew was wrong and not true. So it's a really tough thing to like re-educate people on what to do. And like, especially for females, a lot of girls are very like timid about a gym, like going to a gym. I think we do a much better job here than like somebody who just wants to first start working out and they want to go to like a commercial gym, because you don't know anybody. There's nobody there to kind of help you through it. And people are very nervous. So if you're already somebody who doesn't have like knowledge of fundamentals, you're going to go and you're going to jump on a machine to where,
because it's easy to use.
Right. There's
you're
no
intimidated.
You jump on the elliptical, jump on the treadmill, or jump on the machine. So it's just one of those things, like you need to really like do some research and make sure the people that you're like taking information from like are people that you should be taking information from.
Yeah. Should men and women train the same?
Yes.
Everybody of all populations should train the same. Like if your goal might be different, but as far as like fundamental stuff,
it's scientific, right? It's just scientific fact. Like you need to be weight training,
right?
If you're trying to lose body fat and have that desired toned look, which is really like a low body fat percentage and an increase in skeletal muscle mass.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about.
Right. And this idea about being bulky and women getting bulky, I mean, you know, women should be in the gym lifting heavy weights like men go into the gym and lift heavy weights.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get bulky, being super strong. And if you think about, what you may consider a bulky bodybuilder, that takes years and years and years and dedication
and testosterone
and some other factors.
Like
yeah.
Right. I mean, if women are in the gym and they're lifting heavy weights, they will get that quote unquote toned look that they're looking for.
But it's really hard. You don't have the testosterone levels naturally to get bulky. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One big thing that has helped some of our like newer clients that have mentioned stuff like that, like, oh, is this going to make me bulky, or is this going to make a certain muscle group do something they don't want to do? I just point them to other clients that we have in there. Like, you see her, she's been coming here for 10 years. Does she look bulky? Like stuff like that. Like as long as you can like point them in the direction, like it's not going to do what you're like afraid it's going to do. It's like,
and I think that's a big advantage that you have, Brandy, when you're taught, like you can, because you're small, like you're lean, but you're lifting weights, you're ripped, right? So you're in great shape. And it's like, you could be like, yeah, you're afraid to lift those 10 pounds. I'm going to do that same exercise with 30s later.
Yeah.
And the client's mind explodes.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, you're going to lift 30 pounds? How do you not look like Zach?
I'm trying to look like Zach. I'm trying to get bulky. It's just not happening.
It can't happen.
Right,
it can't happen for you. You don't have the hormones to make it happen. So
it works in like multiple ways too, because other people are very hesitant about like how much they should eat. If we tell them like most of our clients need to eat more. Yeah. And I'm like, I eat more than you do, like way more than you do. And like, sure, of like I'm younger than almost all of our clients, but like if you look at people who like might be significantly bigger than you, but like lean, because people use skinny, but really what they want is to be lean, not skinny, right? They want muscle mass, but they don't want to be skinny. So like, and you'll see somebody who might have a significant amount of muscle mass, like much more where you want to be, but they're very lean and they eat way more than you do. So it's like the same principle. It's just like, we're afraid of things that probably isn't even like there's so many other things that you have to do to get to a point that where you look like what you don't want to look like.
Yeah. And probably to get you to where you want to look like, you just need to do exactly what we tell you to do.
Right.
Right?
For a long time.
For a long time, and it'll work. Just trust us, trust the process. Like, this is what we do for a living. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. You guys got anything else? That's it for me.
Nope. I think we covered it.
Okay. We covered it. We covered it. Do one of you have an outro? Because CJ's not here today.
I just want to say, ladies, get after it.
Get after it. So parents.
Yeah, set them down a path early.
Put your kids in athletics, because we know the difference between somebody that's 45 years old, whether they played sports when they were young or didn't, right? Mm-hmm. And if your child is training and working to accomplish something that is an athletic metric, and they learn how to train for that, that's going to carry with them for the rest of their life. It's huge. So get your kids in sports.
Definitely.
And get them competing. And it doesn't necessarily have to be sports, but some sort of like something physical. Right. Could be dance, gymnastics, whatever. So that's it for me. we'll be back with you guys next week with more great stuff. Thank you so much for listening to the Healthy Living Scottsdale podcast. Do you have a question that you'd like for us to answer live on the podcast? If so, all you need to do is head over to the Apple Podcast app on your iPhone and do 3 simple things. First, leave us a rating and review telling me what you think of the podcast. In that review, ask anything you want related to health, fitness, or nutrition. And if you want a shout out, leave us your Instagram handle or name. That's all you have to do. Then listen to hear your questions answered live on the next Q&A episode.